everyone, and welcome to my channel. So for today's video we are playing with makeup. It's not a like new released palette. This is one that I picked up in one of my recent hauls. It's one that I had regret from not getting when it first came out, and I just thought, you know what, life's short. I used to be a bit sort of like, oh well, there'll be a million videos of this on YouTube, so I'm not going to bother doing one, and I'm not going to bother buying it for that reason. When really, why wouldn't I buy something that looks beautiful and that I want just because lots of people have already done it on YouTube? It's just daft. Of course, I will still be doing a new palette review, so don't worry about that. There'll still be new palettes that I will be looking at, but I just wanted to revisit some of the ones that I missed out on first time round and see what I think of them. I love the colour story of this one. This is the Forever Flawless Flamboyance, which is a flamingo style palette, flamingo inspired. And this is the look I've created with it, which I do think is very pretty. So we're going to get in, we're going to swatch all these shades, and then I'll insert the footage of me creating this look. Okay, so that is the first row, and there's nothing really to talk about there for in respect of any sort of bad swatches or anything like that. They all performed really, really well on a finger swatch. So far, so good. Then we've got the next row again. These are just really great swatches. No problems whatsoever. Okay, so I've done the final row, but because I ran out of room, I've inserted some in the gaps. So I have managed to fit everything on my arm. However, they're not necessarily in the right order now because I have just shoved some in where there was a bigger gap. But yeah, I do think these swatched quite well. I do think they look quite decent. I don't think I had any problems with any of them really. And yeah, I will now insert the clip of me creating this look, and you can see what you think about the palette. So here she is in all her glory. We're just starting with this shade here in the corner, the lovely pink shade called Flock. And I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and I'm just going to blend that through the crease. I just want a light blend on it, almost like a transition shade. I don't want it overly pigmented. So we're going to go fairly high with it because I'm going to go fairly high with my cut crease today. And all I literally want is something that's going to not be as bright as what I've just done. Something that's just going to add a little bit of depth and dimension to the look. I must admit, it's not blending out as well as some of the palettes I've used recently by Revolution, but this is one of their older ones. I did used to really rate the Forever Flawless formula, and I'm not saying it's a bad formula, but yeah, after using the Revolution Pro palette that I used the other day, I want to say it was called Adorned. That one was so easy to work with. It really makes you realise, you know, what you've been missing, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to take a little bit of Feather, which is this shade here, just in the dim hope that this will just help soften this up around the edges, because I really wanted it to be a pale pink, and it's a lot brighter than I'd like. To be honest, being pigmented is not usually something that I complain about. This brush, this is like a Morphe M519. It is molten all over my face. Okay, that's a lot better, that blend now. So I'm going to go in and do the same on the other eye, and then we'll come back and do the rest. So now I'm taking the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. I need to order some of this because that was a free one that I got, and it is amazing. I love it. I'm just using this to cut my crease. So I'm going to pop it all over my lid and then up into my crease. I'm going to go quite high today because I just want to do something a little bit more dramatic. The great thing about this base is it's quite dry, which means it's much easier to work with, much easier to get a crisp edge. So I've done a bit of a different shade because I'm just wanting to do something a little bit different. But yeah, this is my cut crease. I'm gonna now pop the shades on. So we're gonna start off light and then go towards dark. So I'm gonna start with this white shade here, which is called Freeze, and it's a beautiful white iridescent. I'm gonna use this for the inner corner portion of my eyelid. I do really like using light eyeshadow in the inner portion of my eye. I think it just like makes you look more awake, more bright, more healthy. As you can see already, this eye is looking a lot brighter. Next up, we're going to go in with this shade here, which is called Hue. And I'm just going to use that on the inner third of my eyelid. At the moment, I'm not too fussed about blending. All I'm interested in is laying the colours down where I want them to be. We will go back and blend once I'm happy with how it looks. So next we move on to the last shade, which is Lagoon. Well, the last shade for my eyelid anyway. We may get more shades involved. I'm just going to put that on the outer corner. And again, I'm just going to lay it down. This is going to look terrible until it doesn't. So as you can see, very stripy, very sort of, I don't know, not very professional looking. So now what we're going to do, we're going to start blending. So what I'm going to do is take some of the white and just go over the seam between the white and the blue, ever so slightly. I'm also, while I'm here, going to deepen up this white as well. Nothing like a double layer. So I've got this clean, sort of fluffy flat brush. I'm going to use this just to buff the colours in between. The reason I'm going for a flat brush and I'm not blending with circular motions is because I'm really trying to keep all the shadow where I put it and just literally blend it where it sits rather than, you know, blending out like you normally would. So now we're going back in with the blue. And the second layer really does seem to help it pop, which is nice. And again, I'm just going to take this blue across the darker blue. I'm loving the vibrance of that turquoise. So I'm just taking it across the darker blue in the attempt to blend it. But I think, to be honest, it's going to have to go the other way because it's not really doing a lot. Taking the darker shade the other way will probably help more. So before I do that, I'm just going to do the turquoise across the white. You basically just go over the line with the opposite colour and then do it again with the other colour. Just keep going back and forth until you're happy that it looks fairly blended. And so now I'm just going over with the dark blue on the paler blue. Again, just to give it that blended look. So I'm happy now with the blend between the three shades. I just want to blend out this outside edge. So I'm going in with a sort of tapered blending brush just because I can control it a little bit better. This is a Morphe 507 and I'm just going to try and lightly blend out this blue. I don't want it all over my face, but I don't want it to be so obvious, the edge. So what I'm going to do now is just catch up the other eye. I'll come back to you and we can do the under eye and finish everything off. Okay, so we are back. I'm just going to do my under eye and I'm going to do the three colours that I did on my eyelid, but in the same order. So starting with the middle, I'm going to also give myself an inner corner highlight with this same white shade, and then I'm going to take that a third of the way along my under eye. Same on the other side. Then the middle blue. And whilst I'm doing this, I am sort of blending the blue in with the white by just going over the edge slightly as I'm doing it. And I've gone a bit further with the light blue than I would want it to be, because I'm then going to sort of blend that in with the darker blue. And then I've already done mascara on my lower lashes, but I always do that and then I do my under eye makeup and I think, well, I've just like coated my lashes in eyeshadow, so we're going to just quickly top them up. Try not to stab myself in the eye. So yeah, this is the finished look. I do think that it turned out pretty well. I'll just give you a quick look at it. I do think it's turned out well. I don't think it's the best palette they've ever made. I did struggle with that pink matte. However, that's not to say it's a bad palette. That's to say it's a drugstore palette, and it's an older drugstore palette. You know, Revolution are up in their game day on day. So when I sort of like use a more recent palette and maybe like a higher end one like the Pro range or the XX range, then I go back to one from a while ago. The Forever Flawless range are an amazing range. I love these palettes. They're just not as high end as some of the other ones, but then they're not 20 odd pounds like some of the other ones. So, you know, you've got to expect what you pay for, and it is a really brilliant palette for the price. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help my channel. Leave me a comment down below. Have you got this palette? Is it one that's been on your wish list for a while? Will you be picking it up after seeing this review? Let me know down in the comments section. I always say down in the description, like you can write in my description. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.